Hi, everybody. So I wanted to take a minute and talk to you a little bit about candy, just give you a brief overview of what it is and what you're going to be learning in this unit as you go through it on Google Classroom. So candy can be many things. It can be like hard candy, like is probably what most of you think of right away. It can be chocolate things like Snickers bars or Twix, and it could even be something like marshmallows. So what all of these have in common is that usually there is a very specific temperature to which you need to cook these things in order to get the right end product. Another thing that all of these things have in common is that the main ingredient in all of them is, what do you guys think? Sugar. And for a lot of them, what you're going to have to do is probably mix sugar with some kind of liquid. Usually it's a little bit of water. And then you're going to have to cook it down so that sugar dissolves completely into whatever the mixture is that you're making. If the sugar does not dissolve completely, or you are oversaturated with sugar, then you'll get what we call a crystalline candy. So these are ones that tend to be a little bit grainier, and it doesn't mean that you didn't make it right because some of them are meant to be crystalline anyway. So if your mixture is not oversaturated or super saturated with sugar, then you will have a non-crystalline candy, which means that it's smooth and it's creamy. So depending on how you cook things, caramel, if you cook it enough, it's going to be non-crystalline. If you don't, it will be crystalline. It might be grainy. Fudge, same thing. Sometimes it's crystalline. If you shake it around too much after you're done cooking it, those sugar crystals can combine together and then you'll have sort of a grainy type of fudge. But if you cook it correctly, it should be a smooth and creamy type of candy. Okay, so that's what all candy has in common. You will see as you go through this lesson that there are different temperatures to which you're going to cook candy depending on the type of candy that you're making. So we have something from low temperature where you just be making like a syrup, like a simple syrup with water and sugar, or it could be something as hard as peanut brittle or a hard type of toffee. So you could get it either way. Okay, so you have to be really careful, and if you don't have a kitchen thermometer, which is the easiest way usually to tell what temperature you've gotten to, if you don't have that, there is another way you can test your candy to make sure you're stopping it at the right stage, and that's called the water test. So when you think you're at the right stage or you're not quite sure yet, but you're getting there, you just take a little bit of whatever you're cooking, whatever type of candy it is, drop it into water and then take it out and see what the texture is. And it will explain to you what the texture should be depending on what you're making. So if you're making peanut brittle, for example, if you dropped it into the water and you took it out, you should be able to take that string of whatever it is and crack it in half. And that's what we call the hard crack stage. So you guys will see the different stages. There's videos for you to watch, and I actually made a video of making caramel corn, so you guys can watch that. Normally, if we were doing this in class, we would be making peanut brittle, which is a hard candy with peanuts in it. Another thing that we make is fudge. Fudge is considered a candy. And sometimes we make caramel. Um, and that's pretty much all that we make in class candy-wise. Oh, another thing that we do is we usually temper chocolate and dip things in it. So what tempering chocolate is basically is you take a good quality candy, or you could take chocolate chips if you want, because they're usually cheaper. And you're going to heat it up to a certain temperature depending on the type of chocolate you have. For example, milk chocolate is going to be at a lower temperature than dark chocolate, and white chocolate would be the lowest temperature. So you want to heat it up to that certain temperature to kind of break apart the crystals, and then you are going to let it cool off by itself to, I think it's about 80 degrees, and then you have to heat it back up. just a little bit, and then you are going to start dipping things in it like marshmallows, pretzels, strawberries, could be gummy bears, different types of fruits, any graham crackers, all that stuff. So what tempering chocolate does is after you dip it, whatever the thing is you dip it and you take it out, it allows it to get that smooth, shiny look of chocolate dip things. And also helps you kind of have that snap when you bite into it, and it doesn't, it's just not all melty like it would be if you didn't temper it correctly. So I am going to have directions for you guys that show you how to temper chocolate. And then, like with all of the other units that I'm going to be giving you, you're going to have an option of doing an at-home lab, or you can watch a video of somebody making some type of candy thing and then answer those questions for your cooking video option. Okay, so if you guys do decide to make it yourself, don't get frustrated. And sometimes it takes a lot longer to cook than you think it's going to. Another tip that I have for you guys is make sure that you have everything ready. You've read and reread your directions, because once it gets to that temperature, everything goes quickly and you need to be ready to add whatever it is that you need to add and finish off your recipe without burning or getting above the temperature that the recipe states. Okay, so those are my tips for you guys. Try to stick to the due dates that I've given you. It will help keep you guys organized and on task. And I do have them set up in a certain way where you're kind of starting at like the lower end of the knowledge and then building from there. So please try to stick with the schedule that I give you guys. Okay, so good luck, and I hope you guys make something and give me lots of good pictures.